Oh, nice. I hear this.
You better run and take your scratch.
Is he threatening people again? Yeah. Or he knows he can't do nothing? All I have to do is create a little bit.
Now you knock me over.
It would take much more than all I have to do.
When you say that, say hi to us.
Mondays are like days, Tuesdays. Can we go sit down?
I went to worship and when I went to the meeting, my heart, and then I tried to get into it, and I was like, well, let me just check. Like I just I go check and it says I'm in church. So it was 2. And when I went to the wedding with them, they said, "Well, what's the church?" And so it says right here, it's church, so it says, I don't know, but she considered fit around, like fitting around with it. She said that.
There's even t-shirts right there, you guys can see that. I think in the memory, it's a good spot.
Sitting back there.
Here, just save it for you, John. Save it.
That started for you.
I've noted. We got chat now. Ready to get started?
I think.
I just wanted to take a moment to welcome all of you here to the funeral services for Ian Jacks Burgess. It's good to see such a strong showing of support. And thank you for being here and for supporting this family in their time of need. My name is Frank Lillywhite, and I'm one of the funeral directors here at Walker's. And I've been asked to conduct, and I'm honored to do so. I'll announce most of the program, and then we'll go to the closing prayer. Before that, I'll stand back up. But we'll begin by hearing from Kimberly Whitesell, and after Kimberly's, obviously Ian's mom, and when we're after her remarks, we'll open up the microphone for those who would like to share memories of Ian. And anyone's welcome to come up, as there may be a lot of people that want to come up. Keep that in mind as you share your remarks, but feel free for anyone to come up and share their memories and thoughts with Ian. So, Kimberly, we'll turn the time over to you.
Thank everybody for coming out. I know that this really it means a lot to me and my family. I know Ian was loved. It's been a really, really hard time. And I don't know. I've got a few thoughts here, and Ian was very special. He made my world so wonderful, and I know he made an impression on a lot of people. He was amazing, and he was fun. I can't read with glasses. He was fun, and he brought so much to the table. I know he enjoyed everything outdoors. And we had so many good hiking trips and so many great backpacking trips. Enjoyed campfires and listening to him play his guitars. And I admired the passion and the talent that he had when it come to his guitars. There was nothing like it. When he'd pull them out and he'd just start playing, it was peaceful. He was a bit of a prankster, and he could make you laugh. He could do some really silly things. But one of my favorites was we were getting a Christmas tree. And we asked Austin and Ian if they would take the Christmas tree home. And we were going to stop at the store. We were just 10 minutes behind them. When we pulled up into our driveway, the Christmas tree was on the roof sticking out of the chimney. But the most impressive part was he only had 10 minutes to complete it. Ian wanted the best for everybody. He really did have a good heart, but he especially wanted the best for his daughter. And he worked extra hard once she came into the picture. And I am so proud to have witnessed the love and the bond that you two shared. And that's not changing. It's not changing. Ian loves you. I do find some comfort in knowing that Ian is now one of Paisley's angels. And I know that he's going to look after you. That we're all going to look after you. I am grateful, and I know I'm blessed. Sorry. I am grateful, and I know I am blessed that Ian was such a huge part and gave us such beautiful chapters to this life. I will forever miss his playful banter, his mischievous laugh, and his big hugs. I love you so much, and we will forever carry your spirit with us always. Love, Mom. Rest in peace, my son. That's all.
As mentioned, the time is now yours if you'd like to come up.
I want to tell you about, in my opinion, the proudest I ever was of Ian. We were having hard conversations about just how life goes. We were talking about his co-parenting situation, which he was being very positive about. And he told me, in reference to Paisley's stepdad, that he treats my daughter like a father, that he also is her father. And that's a word and an action that it tells me what he wants for her. I want to tell you the funny stories, but we were dark humored. And I mean, that's the truth of it. Like we had to laugh at the things that were sad. Picking the music for today. Yeah. How hard it is to, when you share an epitome for sad things, to not pick the worst music for something like this. But we also had a huge love for humor. And that was totally inappropriate. So we make do. There's there's so many stories about him doing something so witty and a day later doing something. It's just like you forgot your brain at home. It won't be told here, but we'll tell them around the campfire. Love you, Ian.
Bear with me, I've never had to do anything like this before. What I can say about my cousin Ian, he was so strong in the person that he was, but he didn't discredit or disvalue who you were. We had a lot of differences, but he was never disrespectful about him. He had a way of respecting what you had to say and your boundaries and understanding how you felt to the fullest degree. I was trying for the last couple of days to come up with what memories I should share of ours. And I just kept getting stuck. The biggest things that we used to do together was till 6 o'clock in the morning talking about music and just same cases, Bubba. And one thing is the band Russian Circles. I remember the first time he ever wanted me to listen to them, he was like, you got to listen to it in a very specific way. You need to have a moment to yourself, and you got to report back to me. And every time I seen him, he was like, have you done it yet? And I finally got around to doing it, and he made the world to him. He always talked about his daughter, Paisley. And I remember that we used to fight over her special pillow at his house. I wasn't allowed to use it, and I always tried to. And then I also remember when we went to the Provo River and went tubing, I was with my friend Gabby, and she insisted that we needed to go with my Aunt Kim. And I ditched her on that river and went with Ian and Bowen. And I would not ever regret my decision now. I will forever respect who he was as a person and what he has done for me and taught me as a human being. He taught me how to swing dance. He taught me how to cut a tree. And I have to say it, but he bet me $20 to suck his big toe. And $20 is $20.
I'm Ian's uncle, which is kind of funny saying that because I'm only 9 months older than he was. We're a lot like brothers, hung out a lot, fought a lot, went to school together. Ian was one of the funnest people to be around. He always knew how to make you laugh, quite often at his own expense. A lot of time on purpose. One story that popped up me and Gate were talking about was we were on the way home. We were in middle school. There's a kid that was from high school in front of us, and you could tell he's kind of having a shitty day, but Ian, being himself, put a chip on his shoulder. And he tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey man, you got a chip on your shoulder. And he's looked at it and he's kind of ignored it, like, leave me alone, dude, you know. Ian left it there for a little while, and after a while he tapped him on the shoulder. You gonna eat that? It was so stupid, but I mean, it made everybody's day. I'm pretty sure it made that kid's day after a while, if you would have thought about it. But Ian was a really cool person to be around. Gonna miss him.
So it's my turn.
Ian's my nephew. And I wrote some things down, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go by all this. But we are here to honor him and remember him. And he was my beloved nephew who left us way too soon. For playing the guitar will forever be etched in our memories. And one of the memories was we could all, as a family, be arguing and debating to the point that Mom is telling us, which would be Ian's grandma, to stop. And all of a sudden he would pick up his guitar and start strumming, and we would all stop and just sit there and listen and enjoy the music that he would play. That's going to be something I'll always hold on to in my heart, because it was like the moment that we all just like agreed at once. The common love of him playing his music. And then another memory I have was when I got married and Kim wasn't with, she had to work, and it was after the ceremony, the two little boys, Ian and my son Devin, came up missing. They were about 4 years old. We were all like searching all over through the cabins, and we finally found them together, pooping in the same potty. That will be something I'll always remember. His mischievous laugh, that you giggle like him. It is kind of cool. In fact, it's really cool. The way he giggled and the way you giggled, it brought me back to when he was little. Ian, I'm talking to you now. Please watch over your beautiful daughter. And every once in a while, please let Kimmy and his dads know that you're okay. And I have another request, as much as many, that you keep popping in our dreams every now and then. Ian, we love you so much. Energy never dies, and Ian held a very loving energy. His energy will not be destroyed, but rather change a form from one to another. Love you, Ian.
Hello, I'm Devin, the guy that was pooping in the potty with Ian. And it's probably not the stupidest thing we've ever done together. I didn't get to know Ian the last years of his life, but growing up, me, him, and Patrick were the three amigos, or the three stooges. Ed, and Eddie. But we had lots of fun, and that's all I can remember is the good times. I remember we could spend hours in my grandpa's backyard, just reading a movie we watched the night before, usually Resident Evil. He loved zombie movies. And because he loved them, I loved them, and our imaginations were so wild when we were kids. Or I remember walking back to my grandma's, and there was this kid from school that always had something rude to say when we walked by, so Ian punched him right in the nose. He never had anything mean to say after that, so that's just the kind of kid Ian was. He respected you unless he wasn't respected. And even then, he still had respect to give to you as a human. He was a kind heart. I remember one time we were 13. I was 13. He was probably still 13. I had to stay the summer at my aunt's. And we wanted to go ding-dong ditching in the middle of the night. And we'd get on our bikes and we'd go and ring the doorbell and wait for them to see us on our bikes and then take off laughing. But we went down this dead end road, so we had to pass the house on the way back out. And as we did, we seen some headlights following us, and we were with Ian's friend, Carl. He had a mountain bike, and as soon as he seen those headlights, all you could see was smoke from his tires taking off. And this old 58-year-old man jumps out of his car, and before I could get off my bike, he pulls me off the bike and throws me against the car and starts whooping on me. I mean, a grown man whooping on a 13-year-old, I thought I was going to die. And if I was Ian, I would have ran off. But he stayed behind and said, leave my cousin alone. He was willing to get beat up with me, and he did get beat up with me. And we ran down to the pond and decided to hide out. Didn't want him to follow us back home. And we vowed to keep it a secret between us. But we wanted to brag to Bub about it, and he narked on us. So Kim, being the good mom she always was to him, wanted to make sure that no grown man was going to beat on her son and her nephew. So she reported it to the cops, and the man got away with it. But what was one of the worst nights is one of the best memories, because we could just do the stupidest things and not have no regrets about it. And when I think of Ian, I just think of all the good times. And when I feel like I'm supposed to be sad, it just makes me really happy. But I will always miss him, and I will always cherish those memories. And we love you, Ian.
I'm Caden. I'm the younger cousin, and unlike everybody else, his laugh has been on replay in my mind. I have so many memories with him, but the one that Bone brought up this morning, I kind of laughed out, and it was one that I did think about was when him and Kenzie were dating before they brought little Paisley along, and we were up over there, and we're at Kim's house, and I was sitting there flirting with Kenzie, and he's all looking at me. He goes, "You flirting with my girlfriend?" I said, "No." And he goes, "All right." So I went back to doing it. He goes, "You little shit, get out of here." And no matter what, you always knew how to put a laugh on your face. He always knew how to be your friend when he knew he needed to be your friend. We love you, buddy. We're going to miss you.
Oh, hi. My name's Kaylee. I'm Ian's cousin. It's a lot of us. I had to write everything down, and I hope I can keep everything together. I've been a little bit of a scatterbrain this last week. I first start off with my whole life. I've always called him Ian. Ian. I don't know why I did it. I think I just thought I was being funny. But then it had become a habit, and even as an adult, I was no longer teasing him. That had just became his name, Ian. Everyone always corrected me, but Ian. I think he secretly liked it. As it's been mentioned by multiple people, he had the best laugh. And if everyone can just take a second to close your eyes and
Imagine his laugh. It was contagious. His laugh outshined everyone else's laugh. I could just listen to it all day. I can still hear his voice. And in case anyone forgot, it kind of sounded just like this. I wasn't the nicest cousin. Baba had mentioned we, as Burgesses, show our love in many different forms. Like, teasing you, sharing music with each other, and time spent in nature. If the Burgesses were doing any of those three things, just know you were loved. And if they didn't, then they probably don't like you. Growing up in the Burgess house, the family dynamic can be a little confusing, as Patrick kind of touched base on. We all lived under the same roof on a couple different occasions. So we grew up very close, which is where most of my memories come from Ian as kids. Living under this roof with my family, Ian was especially confused with the dynamic. Everyone in the house called Grandma Mom, so Ian called Grandma Mom for a long time. And everyone in the house called Kim Kim, so Ian called Kim Kim. Kim is like a second mom to me. My kids actually call her Auntie Nana because Auntie just simply wasn't enough when this woman has been a big part of my childhood and raising me. She has to be Nana to him too. I did spend a majority of my childhood with my uncles and my cousins. We were all so close in age that it felt more as if I had extra brothers growing up. I was so well protected, and I think that's why I'm so mean. I was Bowen and Ian's babysitter growing up, and what a great honor that was. And it's probably really unhealthy, the amount of ramen noodles they would eat all the time, every day. What do you guys want for dinner? Ramen noodles, ramen noodles. I can't look at another plate of ramen noodles. I can't. Is it you too? Oh, it just continues. We were always escaping to Salem Pond to feed the ducks or cast on. Hunting, fishing, hiking, vacations, spending all of our summers at Fish Lake. Concerts. Speaking of concerts, my family's a little reckless and decided it was a great idea to bring a bunch of children to Alice Cooper growing up. I think I was 11 or 12, so that would make Ian about 8 or 9. And before we went to the concert, we had stopped at McDonald's to get some food. Quick trip, got in, got out. We get to the Saltaire, and Ian doesn't have any shoes. So Devin, being the kind cousin he was, took off his socks and handed them over to Ian. And he was able to go enjoy Alice Cooper. On top of that, I also saw Weird Al with him and my uncles, and that's a memory I'll never forget. I remember as kids, every time we would get in the car with John or Kim, Ian always requested to listen to Bodies by Drowning Pool. Every time. And every time I hear that song, I just imagine little Ian, little 6-7-year-old Ian singing that song. Thanks, John. He loved Ian so much. And as it was, I think, by Bubba, and being a stepdad isn't easy. And you came in and you loved him. You loved him so much. I remember as soon as you guys started dating, he was already calling you dad. It was beautiful to see you guys build a genuine bond and to see you for a child that wasn't yours, that you didn't birth. Well, I guess you can't birth children, but I'll forever cherish my memories I have with Ian. He was so wild. He was the wild card growing up. We'd all be hanging out and he would always be up to something ridiculous. He had such a fun, playful relationship with Kim, always just giving her grief. And she would laugh it off with him. They would just laugh it off. All the pranks. There was one time we had ransacked Kim's house. And one of us had put a plant in the sink, and then she figured out someone's messing with me. It flipped the furniture. We ransacked it. TP John's car. The last prank that Ian pulled me in on, and we're not going to touch on that because it was awful. And it made Kim cry.
I don't remember.
We'll have to talk about it later. So when we can't share here, I came home for a visit, and he pulls me aside. He's like, Kaylee, I need you. I need you to go to my mom and show her this and say you found it in my room.
Oh, shit.
Mm-hmm. And Kim's face just was mortified. And I was so mad at him. I was so mad at Ian that he wrapped me in that awful prank of his. Next time, don't. Leave me out of it. And Paisley. I bet you didn't know you were so loved, did you? You were so loved. The first time I held Paisley, I felt my baby in my stomach move for the very first time. And I'll never forget that, holding little baby Paisley. And I'm so glad that we have you and we get to look at you and see your face, because it really is like looking at his face. It's really weird. One of the last things that me and Ian did together was go camping up Payson Mountain with Austin and Kim and Bowen, and he was sitting there playing his guitar. He stopped and paused for a second. He told me that he loved watching me being present with my boys, then just went back to playing his guitar. I don't know what he meant exactly, but I like to think that he was reminiscing on his own childhood with his mom and Bowen. And if there's any truth to that, then what an honor. I could not imagine a better compliment. I admire Kim and how she raised her boys and the bond she grew with them. I wouldn't be the mom I am today if it wasn't for her. I'm going to skip over all that because it's just sappy stuff about Kim. I'll tell you. But she never gave up on him. She never turned her back on him. She always chose her kids first, no matter what. No matter what, her kids were number one. And I love that about her. Ian lived fast, and he died way too young. Ian, I know you're here. Looking at all of our faces, I know you're smiling ear, knowing that you have so much love and support. And I'm sure you're probably saying for the very last time, Kaylee, you're such a beach.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Austin. I was one of Ian's best friends. A memory I have that I can't get out of my head is we did a backpacking trip up in the Uintas, and Kim and Bowen followed us up there and stayed a couple days. They went home and we stayed for the following week, and then some of my family met us up there the next weekend. So we had 8 or 9 days up there. And we had a goal to go see everything there was to see. And I remember one day, it was a dry year up there. There wasn't much spring water, and we had to get water out of this lake, and there was bugs in the bottle, and like, it's really nasty. And drink it, like, even though we could filter it, going across it in the middle of nowhere. And we sat on, had clean water, picked up our spirits a little bit, and just realized what a perfect, how something that went kind of crappy turned into like saving grace, and just a perfect day with perfect company. And we both have talked about that moment passing and saying that what a happy, like, that's our happiness. And we could think back on that and just think what a perfect day it was. We also, trying to save weight, didn't take any kind of stove. We were trying to rough it and just had granola bars and jerky for the whole trip. 8 days of granola bars and jerky sucks. And when my Uncle Greg got up there that following weekend, he was cooking some bacon, and he said, "You two boys look like starving dogs staring at us." So we definitely got some bacon, thanks to Greg. And one other story that cracks me up is we were working on a boat, me and him were fixing up. And I had this paint that was epoxy paint, and it was really sticky. And I'd went to work, and he stayed there and was painting the boat. And I was like, "Yeah, this stuff's pretty sticky, be careful." And I get home, I park the truck, and there's just a crime scene throughout my entire yard. Like, I could see the spigot had white paint on it. The hose had white paint on it. There's paint all over the grass. All my gas cans, for some reason, had white paint on them. And I go inside, his hands are still white. He's just like, "Dude, I'm so sorry." I was like, "What happened?" He said that as he was painting the boat, it was peeling the paint off of the boat and sticking to the roller. It was so sticky. And he was trying to pick it off, and it was sticking to his hands. It just turned into a mess. And he went to go wash the roller out and used his hand to squeeze the paint out of the roller. And just the rest is history. He had to go to the hose, to the gas cans, and I actually got some on a bracelet, and for years that paint stayed on that bracelet just to say how sticky that stuff was. But anyway, he was always there to help, and he was a very close friend, and he'll be greatly missed. And you guys have always been my second family, and I hope that we still stay a second family. But love you guys, and I love you, Ian.
Hi. I don't know how many of you guys may know me, but I was and I am one of Ian's best friends, and we've known each other a long time. Not as long as family, probably a little over 10 years. The first time I met Ian was his first shift over at Taco Bell, and I read the schedule wrong, and I thought his last name was Burgers. So, I went, "Hey, Burgers, how are you doing?" And he looked at me like the idiot I was and told me his name was Burgess. And luckily, he took my idiocy for hilarity, and we started hanging out after that. And he became one of my best friends. And he introduced me to Austin, and we've been hanging out all the time since then. Just this year alone, I think we went on 4 camping trips. There was this one time me and Ian were house sitting for some friends who were out for the weekend, and it was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and we decided to put some pizzas in the oven, and then we fell asleep. About 5 in the morning, we wake up and the whole house is completely covered in smoke, and all the fire alarms are going off, and we are freaking out. We open all the windows, and we look out the front, and there's some cop cars out there. And Ian freaks out and longboards back to his grandparents' house about 10 miles away at like 4 or 5 in the morning. It wasn't even us. It was completely unrelated. I love that man. He was and is one of my best friends. He made you feel silly because everything just came so incredibly naturally to him, whether it be physical, on the job, playing games, head puzzles, music, everything. He was one of the best people I've ever met. Keep being amazing. I love you, Ian.
Is there anyone else that wanted to come up? Thank you for those that have shared. Gives us all a little more insight into Ian and who he was. And I'm sure there's many more stories that will come to your mind, and I hope you'll share those with each other. It's important to do that, however you do that, via text or in person or a phone call. That helps in healing and going through this process together. We'll close our meeting today with a closing prayer. It will be given by Greg Crandall.
I guess I ought to introduce myself a little. He said, my name's Greg. I'm Ian's uncle, the one that was in the mountains when those two were staring at me like a couple of dogs. 7 days or so, they had not eaten anything. And here I'm cooking up some bacon, and they're both just like a couple of little puppy-eyed dogs. Like, how could I not? Here, you can have some. I had 2 packs, so they ate most of it. Anyway, I know Ian through Austin and going backpacking, and he lived at my parents' house for on and off. I think he stayed there a lot because he didn't like traveling back and forth to Eureka and back. So he was there all the time. Anyway, just as I said, I know Ian, and I didn't say I knew Ian. I know Ian. He's not gone. He what I believe is that he's just started a new beginning, and we'll all start a new beginning sometime, and hopefully Ian will be there and to lead us on our new beginnings. Anyway, I really like Ian. He was fun to be around. So say a prayer. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful that we're able to come together and remember Ian, and we're thankful that he came into our lives and was able to touch each and every one of us the way he has. And we're thankful for the love he had for all of us, and we ask a blessing that everybody here will be at peace, knowing that Ian is just on a new beginning, and we ask that thou bless us, that we'll be able to travel home safely today, and that the Spirit will be with us. And I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
This does conclude the services. Take what time you need here and continue to talk. And then thanks again for being here.